Hello, I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, your pet's ally, and today I want to talk with you about something that you may or may not have thought about in terms of how your pet ends up affecting the environment. And the reason this is important to me is, I think it's important to all of us, but I just want to show you a couple of things about what happens with trash that we don't normally think about. So there's been some discussion about, where does our trash end up? And frankly, this is where it ends up. And a lot of it ends up in the ocean. In our travels across the country, what we've found is that there are fewer and fewer places where we can recycle trash and debris. And part of that is because we've been shipping our recycling materials from here, the United States, over to here, China. And we are so bad at it, we include trash and all sorts of other things that cannot be recycled, that the Chinese have stopped accepting much of our stuff. And so it's been really interesting. Okay, all right, so we can't recycle plastic here, we can't recycle glass there. So what's going on with that? And there's a couple of things that are happening. One is trash that we're not, like really what we used to do with trash for states that were along the border is literally take it out to sea and dump it. And things that get dumped off of boats accidentally or blow out end up in the ocean, and they end up in these 5 trash gyres. And these suckers are, this one is the size of Texas. I think actually both the North Pacific and the North Atlantic gyres are the size of Texas. And what's in these things? This trash, debris, stuff that's fallen off of boats. And so it's astonishing. I mean, this is just all over the world in the ocean. And we all know that plastic is going to take somewhere around 20,000 years to degrade to the point where it's just not good. The other thing that's happening is that we all have plastic in our bloodstreams. So the average person has somewhere around 4,000 parts per million of plastic in their bloodstream. If you drink water from those little plastic bottles like we see floating around here, you have something like 90,000 parts per million of plastic in your bloodstream. And that's weird and gross, but what does that mean health-wise? And what that means health-wise is that plastic is a hormone mimic, and in specific, it mimics estrogen. And estrogen-dominant people are much more likely to develop cancer. So this is one of those lifestyle factors we have some control over, although not all of it. So it's a bit frustrating. So what can you do? There's a couple of things that are really super simple. So we all, pick up after our pets when we're walking them, hopefully, if we're in an urban area. And that is very important because pet waste ends up in our water supply. And it makes it that much more difficult to get the water supply clean. And again, this is going to, make the chances of having a contaminated water, so fecal bacteria, things of that nature, pop up and make people sick. So the solution has been to use, those disposable pee bags, right? That's plastic too. And there's the biodegradable ones. And those are often cornstarch mixed with plastic. So we still have plastic. So what do we do? And there's a couple of options we've come up with. So one is wax paper, and this is in Spanish because we're in Mexico. So you can protect your food and use wax paper. It's great for picking up poop for small, medium dogs. That's what we've been using across the U.S. with Mona. And what happens is you just, pull off a little piece and big enough to pick up the poop and throw it in the trash bin. So that's pretty easy. What if you have a Great Dane? Not so easy. There's a couple of options there. Everything you buy, unfortunately, seems to come in a plastic bag. It's really getting hard to buy produce that doesn't come in a plastic bag or is prepackaged. And that's what it is. That's what marketing has done. So what do you do with all those bags? Voila, free poop bags, so to speak. All of the stuff. So here's our bag of coffee that's empty, and here's our other bag of coffee that's empty. And these are going to turn into not poop bags for Mona, but bags to put the scoopings from the cat litter box from Pepe into, so that they don't reek up the house, right? So we're down in Mexico. It's nice and warm and beautiful, and trash does interesting things at 75 degrees or 80 degrees with no air conditioning. And that is, it starts to stink and the little fruit flies come in. So this helps seal up some of the stuff and keep it safe. The other thing that's available, and in the Baja, these are lovely dried mangoes, which obviously this isn't empty, but in the Baja they have banned single-use plastic bags. This is made out of cornstarch. Now, that doesn't work so well if you have something hot to put in there. But again, here's another poop bag solution, and you can buy these. So instead of buying the extra large size of poop bags for your dog, maybe you can buy some pretty good sized cornstarch bags to pick up the poop in instead. So that's one suggestion. Now, the other thing that we use a terrific amount of plastic in is pee pads. So if you're crate training or something like that, and your pup has, or you've got an older dog like Mona who is just like, screw you guys, I am 15 and a half and I'm gonna pee where I want to pee. So we have pee pads down in her crate when we leave, so that if she's got to pee, it's easy to take care of. However, we're not using the plastic ones. We ran into these before we left, puppy pads, and they are awesome. So this is the first one we got, and basically all this is what you would put in a crib. This one is almost 2 years old. Here's some plastic backing so it doesn't leak through. We're still dealing with plastic, but it's one use of plastic instead of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pee pads. So this has been through the washing machine multiple times, so you just got to plan ahead. This is sort of the newer and updated ones. One of our old ones finally wore out. This one's kind of more heavy duty. It's a little thicker, as you can see. It's got a heavy-duty plastic backing. This bad boy, once it gets dirty, goes in the washing machine. And same thing. So, as I said, this one is almost 2 years old, and it's still functional. The other one sort of finally gave up the ghost. So there's another option for you as far as reducing plastic use. Now, the third thing I want you to think about is what your pet's food comes in. And we've got a couple of cans of food that we bought just because we weren't sure if we were going to be able to come into Mexico with prepared pet food. So, the brand's not important. This is what we could find. This is all groovy. These cans are lined with plastic. And, if you're feeding canned food, and the dry food bags are also either Mylar, which is a plastic, or they are lined with plastic. You're going through these things, maybe you're using 2 of these a day or 3 of these a day for your cat. That's a lot of plastic and a lot of can and a lot of energy. Now, compare that to making your own food. And much like the original Crock-Pot diet, you can still have a diet that is complete and balanced for all life stages, and you can, get that drilled down to specifically what your pet needs. And so when you do that, then you can use something like this. And what this is a silicone bag. This is 2 years old. This sucker goes in the dishwasher. It goes in the freezer. You can, if you're so inclined, you can warm food in it. You can do sous vide if you're that accomplished of a chef. So it tolerates temperature changes. And again, this is 2 years old. We have not bought plastic bags in over 2 years for food storage, even though we're traveling constantly. So that has made life super easy. So those are some suggestions for you. And there's one other thing I want you to think about. And this is the other sort of dirty little secret. And where does clay cat litter come from? And I'm sorry to tell you, it is strip mined, both in the United States and in Brazil and other countries. And so this stuff is strip mined, brought into the country from, God knows it's shipped overseas, things of that nature. So I'll put this link down in the comments under the video so you can read a little bit more about it. But that's pretty horrifying. We're doing this to all this land so our cats have something to pee in. So what are our other options? Well, there's several. There is newspaper-based cat litter. And so here's another article that kind of goes through where all of the other stuff comes from. And there's some downside to everything. But the deal is why don't we just use the thing that's least problematic? And so this section is biodegradable plant-based stuff. So that's the pine wood pellets, newspaper, that kind of stuff. So number one, don't flush it if you can help, because it is going to make it more and more difficult to get water clean, and that is going to be a huge problem. So one of the things we've been using for some time, but all these other ones, as you can see, is strip mining for silica, for the silica gel stuff, the non-clumping clay, that's strip mined, the clumping clay is strip mined. So what do? And here's one of the solutions. And this is naturally fresh litter, which is made from walnut hulls, and I'm sure they put some other stuff in there to make it clump. But the thing is that the starting material was not strip mined. And the reason that is important is, we got tons of walnuts in the U.S. We also have tons of pine and pine shavings and things of that nature, but those can all be used for other things. So can newspaper, that can be recycled and turned back into paper. So the other deal is why not use something that really is truly a waste product and would not otherwise be used for another use. So again, you just put it in there. It is a little bit dusty, but it clumps extremely well. When we had 5 cats, it was fantastic. The other thing is that it is tremendously lighter than clay litter. And as it says in this little graphic, dispose of the used litter in the trash only, because that clumping material is excellent at gumming up pipes. And as anybody can tell you that's had that experience of cat litter plugging up the pipes, it is not fun. So think about that the next time you go to get litter. Do you have to take some time to get your cat used to it? Yep, you do. Cats are a little bit freaky about their cat litter, and if they think that the world has come to an end, it's just not fun. So Dr. Elsie makes a product called Cat Attract, which he has unfortunately combined with clay litter, but you can buy it by itself, and it's a blend of herbs and things of that nature. You can also just get catnip, put it in the litter. You can spray Feel Away on the box to help keep the cats in the box, things of that nature. So that's what I have for you today. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to protect the environment a little bit more this month, as well as how to protect your pet from issues that we are having within our environment. So again, that's what I have for you today. We've got some really exciting news coming up with the launch of iPets Ally the middle of this month. That will be our website. membership area where it's a subscription-based site, but what you will be able to do is get access to all of my videos, all of the audio files if you're a podcast type person and like to listen to audio downloads, as well as written transcripts. And then each month, or each week I should say, I'll be teaching by answering questions about your pets. So there's that, and then once a month I'll be teaching to the group on a specific topic.